We are loading up today. This is fantastic. So let's do this because everyone popped in and they were promptly on time. Let's just go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Kryptonite from Drip to Wealth, and I'm joined by an amazing group of influencers in the Drip ecosystem. And I'm going to start with my small group, and most of them are speakers. We've got Crypto Mark, we've got Unmade Sugar, we've got Drip Strategy, we've got Rock Ape. We also have The Gardener, DG, and we have a special guest who's a major influencer and a passionate educator in the space. That's Brandon from the Drip Guide, right? So that's our group. And our agenda, it is super light and very simple. We are here for you, the folks listening to this AMA, this Twitter Spaces. This is absolutely 1000% for you. Like, our highest priority is to answer your questions and to keep you updated on the latest developments in the ecosystem. And more importantly, like the macro stuff that's happening externally that could have major implications on the crypto market. And just more importantly, the stuff that's going on in the Drip ecosystem, because that's all that we really care about, right? Like, what's happening within the macro that's impacting the micro. All right. So do me this favor for everybody that's listening and the folks that are going to be listening later. Do me this favor as we open up this conversation and start dialoguing. Tap in, right? Send emojis. If you're enjoying the conversation, share it with your followers. And oh, by the way, if you're feeling brave enough and you want to flex your vocal cords and you actually want to say something, request to speak. And I promise you, I will let you speak, but you have to promise me this. You got to keep it light and optimistic. Like, we're not going to avoid the tough questions, right? Because we want to answer those head on, but I will not tolerate the nonsense. All right. Does that make sense? So if you feel brave enough and you want to speak, keep it light and remain optimistic. Sound good to everybody?
Perfect.
Perfect. So let's do
Sounds
this.
good.
So now that we are all aligned, let me take a moment, right? Because again, we've got a major heavyweight in the spaces, and I don't want that to go overlooked. We have Brandon from the Drip Guide, and this is his first time on our spaces. So for those who don't know who he is, Brandon, if it's okay with you, I want to give you a moment to kind of introduce yourself to the listeners.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. That was an awesome introduction. I appreciate it. I got my start with Drip thanks to a day trader friend of mine. So I started my YouTube channel back in 2015, and I knew I wanted to teach people how to do something. And in those days, I was trying to teach people how to day trade. The only problem was I wasn't a good enough day trader myself. I wasn't consistently profitable. So that channel never really got much of a following, but I did make a lot of good friends. And so one of my friends reached out to me online and told me about Drip. And this was way back last summer, May 21st, 2021. And I checked it out and I got involved and I started my first Drip investment, my first faucet account on day 29 of Drip. And within the next 6 to 8 weeks, I really got into the technical details of it. That's always what I've done is I've sunk my teeth into all kinds of different technical subject matter, and then help other people with that technology. So I was a technical support engineer for 25 years, and I loved sinking my teeth into the technology and getting to understand it at a deep level, and then helping other people, working with other people, whether it was on the phone or on email. I was always helping people solve problems and fix the technology, whatever it was I was working on. So then I did a deep dive after after I made my initial investment into Drip, which was about $1,000, put it all into Faucet, of course.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some research, and in particular, I have to give credit to Richard Hart of the Hexagons.
Right.
A lot, polarizing figure. But for me, I love the guy because what's important to me is I learned a tremendous amount from him. I learned about tokenomics, and I learned something that was really surprising and foreign to me, and that was that you can actually design a cryptocurrency to appreciate in value.
Yeah.
And I'd never thought of that. I've never even thought of that, let alone realized that that was actually a thing. So I learned that from Richard, and I learned a bunch of other things from Richard. And the more I learned, the more excited I got about Drip, and the more I realized the genius of Forex Shark and the integrity of Forex Shark and the honesty and how hard he works. And so
Love it.
I got excited. So I set about, building a team, and I rebranded my YouTube channel and changed it from the day trading content to Drip content. And because I dove so deeply into the technology, that's what I do. I've done that for 25 years plus. I get to know things on a technical, deep level, and then I educate people on that same subject matter. So it just kind of naturally flowed, and I turned my channel into a source of education for all of crypto, all of DeFi, and then of course specifically the Drip network,
Yeah.
and later Animal Farm. So it's been an absolute joy. I mean, my most favorite activity in all of the world is to help people.
I could
Uh,
tell.
and
Yeah, I could
yeah,
tell.
and if it involves something that's technically oriented and technically complex, all the better, because that gives me an opportunity to exercise my brain muscles and learn how everything works, and then I can repackage that information in a way that people can understand, and then they feel more comfortable. My biggest thing on my channel that I'm trying to mention every stream is that I'm not here to provide any kind of advice, but
Hmm.
I can definitely provide education so that when you're making a decision, the most important thing is that you're making an educated decision, and you're making a decision to risk some of your own money. You need to be educated on that. You need to understand the ins and outs completely before you make that decision. So that's important to me.
Yeah, and that's a tough line to distinguish, isn't it? Education versus advice. When you think about an influencer in general, we all start with the statement, this is not financial advice, but indirectly we're kind of implying financial advice through our actions. But we've got to remind people at the end of the day, you're 100% responsible and accountable for your finances. We're simply providing education, an example of what we're doing with our funds. So that's a tough distinction. So, how are you able to kind of draw the line? Do you think your statement at the beginning of all of your amazing videos that is simple enough, this is not financial advice, do you think that's enough to kind of distinguish the line between advice and education? Or do we need to do a bit more?
Oh, it's a good question. That's why I've kind of expanded that. I've always had that disclaimer at the beginning of my streams, and it's almost, it's so commonplace on YouTube that it's almost kind of silly.
Yeah.
But then, so I've expanded that a little bit to basically what I just said, where, I want people to make an educated decision. This is their money. This is a real risk that they're taking with their money, potentially taking with their money. So I don't want anybody to go in blind at all.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have any blind spots when you're making decisions with real money and real capital. You should have your eyes wide open, and you should be aware of the risks. And also, that's another thing that I've been harping on, especially lately, especially even tonight, where people People intuitively understand the price risk. They understand that the price of the drip token going down is not a good thing. But what most people don't have any inkling of is the power of compounded daily interest, right?
Boom.
So
That is it. That's the
it's just,
secret sauce.
it is, and it's really it's just not something that we as humans are really used to dealing with. We just our brains just can't cope with the whole concept of exponential growth. It's just not something that you encounter in your day-to-day activities. You're not exposed to things that grow exponentially. There's that example of like a baseball stadium filling up with water. Like you start with one drop of water at the bottom of the baseball stadium, and you're like, oh, that's no big deal. And then you double it every every 10 seconds, or I don't know exactly how the example goes, but by the time anybody realizes something is wrong and they're about to be drowned, it's too late.
It's
Like
too late.
that last
Yeah.
doubling, that last doubling literally takes it from, oh, the stadium is halfway full. I still have time to get out. And then 5 seconds later, the stadium is completely full. That's how exponential growth works, and that of course is a negative scenario where you're going to drown if you don't act quickly. With drip and with faucet, we have that in a positive light where you don't really realize it, but your account balance, your faucet deposit grows very quickly, especially as you get further into it, and it's extremely powerful. And I tried to show that on the stream just tonight, where even if the price drops 95% and you get in at $2 drip and it's works its way down to 10 cents a token, you're still in good shape. After a
Yes.
year, you're
Yeah.
you're you're in the green after a
Mm-hmm.
year and 95% price reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
And that's a tough conversation. I'll let some of the other team members kind of chime in because clearly, and we'll get to that because I've got some headline notes that we probably want to cover because these are some of the questions that are coming up within my team and then obviously on various social media platforms. The underlying thing behind most of it evolves around the drip price. And in your example, we're saying yes, the drip price is a major component of drip success. But then you have to factor in the other absolute fact, which is the power of compounding. And it's being overshadowed by, drip being down 95%, right? So here's what we want to attempt to help people understand without getting too technical is like fundamentally, how should someone process a price being down over 90% and still have confidence to invest in drip or the animal form for that matter? Like, and again, this is for all the other speakers. Like, what are we saying to our team to ready to ship?
I would say that we need to understand the difference between the price right now and the utility that's coming, right? I always say it's better to take a step back and have a look at what's coming. And if you believe in what is coming and the utilities that are coming, and if you believe that, Forex Shark is trying to completely change everything in the DeFi sector and bring all of these different aspects of wealth building to us, which are, the everyday commoners, then I think it's easier to take a look at, right? People can sit there all day and say, "Oh God, the price is going down." It doesn't stop going down. But are we a well-oiled machine now? Are we functioning at max capacity? Has everything been put out on the table and said, "Okay, guys, this is all I've got." Forex, I'm done now. I'm gonna sit back and relax. Sorry, guys, I'm done. To me, he is only beginning, right?
Yeah.
He's got the drip faucet. He's got the animal farm now, and he's still bringing out so many different things that it is very hard to just sit back and think, yeah, that's not going to raise the price, especially when we have something like scratchies or lending, right? Or insurance. These
Mm-hmm.
things are things that I think we need to take a look at. And that's how I process it. So I always do risk versus reward, man. What do you think? Is it worth it? Is it worth it to put the money in? If it goes really, really, really high, are you going to be happy if you didn't take the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That's how I think.
I like that.
I'd love to chime in on that.
Let's go,
So
Rocket.
one, the hard part about volatility and prices is that number changes so often. But actually, something that Brandon has said in the past about fiat and the inflation and the fact that there is no tokenomics for, say, the US dollar. They can essentially print however they choose. And because you still see that same $1, $1, $1, $1, and ours fluctuates, but the buying power of that $1 fluctuates just as much. It's just not as big of a visual. So the fact that the world is ever changing, costs are. I just had an argument with my father today because he bought his first home for $27,000, and he was earning around $27,000 back then. I said, could you imagine? The average home in my area is 1.2 million.
Right. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine. And you're right. You don't necessarily see it, but you should, because you see it when you go to the pump. You see it when you go to the grocery store, right? You see it in the price appreciation. Like, you should notice it, because most Americans, when you think about merit increases, they range anywhere between 1% and 5% annually. And we know that all these other things have gone up 30, 40, 50%. So there's no chart that most people are paying attention to kind of see the visual, to your point, Rocket, but they feel it in their pockets, right? They have to feel it there. And when they look at the drip price based on some of the things that they may have heard other members in the community kind of commit to, like specific pricing and specific timing of when that price action is going to happen, there's probably a bit of frustration and disappointment when it doesn't happen, right? So how do we feel about being explicit about pricing and timing? Is that good for business, or is that bad for business when we try to predict pricing?
Well, Forex has said that it's a bad business. You don't ever want to predict price, because then you're setting yourself your own cap. And as soon as you start limiting what your potential is, you're already at the beginning of the end. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have that same feeling, and I think Driptopians talked most about it at the before we crashed down too hard. Was it's about value and what your individual thoughts are, what the worth is. It's the same as Bitcoin. What would you sell your Bitcoin for? It's not going to be. You're not going to sell your Bitcoin for $5. It's the same thing, to a different scale.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think it's important to recognize, like I was just saying, the importance not just of the price, but of time and compounded interest. And I showed a little chart tonight on the stream as kind of as a way to help people maybe manage their expectations. So I think people might think about getting into drip and getting into faucet, and they think, I'm going to get rich. And there's certainly a possibility that you could get rich. For example, I did some number crunching, and I looked at a $200 investment, $2 drip, 100 tokens, throw that into the faucet. You're starting with a value of $200, and give it a year and a half of daily hydrating. Your deposit becomes 16,950 drip. And as far as predicting the future, that is the only thing that we can predict.
Correct.
I don't do price predictions, but I can certainly do drip deposit or faucet prediction. That's just a matter of math.
Yes.
And so somebody getting into drip today, I would encourage somebody like that to sort of rein in their expectations and think, I might lose it all. I might break even. I might experience a life-changing gain. Somewhere on that spectrum, that will be my result. And what I'm going to do to see what happens is I'm going to give this a year and a half. And it sounds like a long time, but it really isn't.
Nope.
And you grow your deposit from 100 drip to 16, almost 17,000 drip. And even if the price has come down to 10 cents, you're still 700 and almost 750% to the good.
Yeah.
You're green on your investment big time. And that's a great ROI. Where else can you make 7 times your money, almost 8 times your money in a year and a half? Answer, pretty much nowhere.
I agree.
And that's where the price decline, and that's the well beyond break even scenario. It might drop lower than 10 cents. It might drop to, half of a cent. Okay, you lost money. You gave it a year and a half, you gave it a try, you lost money. But what if it goes the other way? What if it goes up 10%? And a year and a half from now, we're looking at $2.20 drip. Now you're up 18,000%.
Yes.
On your investment.
Yes.
And you can literally ROI in what, less than a day of claiming.
And that's the tough part, because I think so many people, including myself, and I'll just use a brief example. When I was first introduced to crypto, and I'm paraphrasing, it was, give me $100 and I'm going to turn the $100 into 1,000, and I can do that within 24 hours. That's the expectations that some people are coming into cryptocurrency, because they're hearing it from other people that have been in this space for a short window of time during a bull run. So during that bull run, you could literally throw a dart and find a cryptocurrency and have a better than 50% chance of doubling your money. And that's just pure luck and speculation. So when you have a bunch of people kind of flooding cryptocurrency with those expectations and things don't happen that instantly, then they get discouraged. It goes back to setting the right expectations. This is an investment.
Exactly.
And typically when most of us think of investing, it really is a long-term horizon. Like, think about the money that people set aside in a 401k. No one's really expecting to draw upon that 401k within 12 months. You're thinking, I want that money to be there when I retire. So that's 20, 30, 40 years, depending on your age, right? When you invest in stocks, unless you're a day trader, you're investing in the stocks, waiting for price appreciation over time because you've invested in a good company. And you're not thinking about selling that asset because you're investing in a good company and your stake is going to grow with that company. So you let it sit. So I think people need to change their perspective. And it's the messaging that we have on this Twitter Spaces and on our YouTube channels and on the other media platforms. We got to continue to reiterate that message. This is not the lottery. You're not going to spend $1 and become a millionaire tomorrow. It's an investment. Right? It's an investment, guys. We have to think along those lines, right?
Yeah, and the great thing this is, though, this is a place where that could actually happen. Ray likes to talk about how we have whatever it is, 130,000 people in the community. I think it's actually less than that, because some people have multiple accounts. Sure. But let's say we have 50,000, 60,000 people in Drip. It's still a drop in the ocean, to use a pun. It's still a tiny, tiny community relative to the rest of the population of planet Earth. Yeah. So if we go from 50,000 users to 1 million users, which is not unrealistic, that's a tremendous amount of capital flooding into the token. The market cap, or the BUSD sitting in the Drip BUSD liquidity pool, is less than 3 million now. So if you get 100 million, if you get $10 million in there, the price goes up. I don't know. If you double the BUSD, you quadruple the price of Drip. So it goes up by a fact. It's factorial. So.
And $10 million doesn't seem like a lot of money, does it, Brandon? $10 million.
Doesn't Pancake swap out over 1 million people?
Yeah. It's not a lot of money relative to DeFi. It's certainly not a lot of money relative to all of crypto, and it's absolutely microscopic in terms of, you know, global finance, which is the biggest industry on earth, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need a tiny percentage of all that fiat floating around out there. We need just a tiny percentage of that to come into drip, and the price can actually go up crazy. And
I
you could be
agree.
sitting on a, you know, you could, there is the opportunity to turn $200. I don't want to discourage anybody from dreaming of what could be. And by the way, you're getting paid to wait it out. You know, you're going to be able to, you,
Right.
you, you're gonna see little
Totally.
spikes in the price of drip from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with you know, deviating from your daily hydrating routine and just claim and sell drip a day or two a month or whatever. Whenever you think the price is relatively high, freaking claim it out and sell it, and then you reduce your risk a little bit. You're getting paid to wait, um, and you know, it could happen. It could. This is an opportunity possibly to turn $1 into $1 million. You know, or at least something crazy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now, let me ask you this, because this goes back, and I want the team members to kind of chime in on this question, because it's broad enough, but I think it covers quite a few other concerns. We've heard in the past we should be waiting for the animal farm to launch, scratchies, lending, and all of this incremental utility. We're being asked to wait. Should people continue to wait? And I already know the answer to that question, so it's two-sided. Should people continue to wait? And then the why. And then if people are impatient, would you, if you're a Forex shark, would you launch any of those additional utilities in today's climate, running into a headwind? What do you guys think? So the question
100%.
is, okay.
100% you should launch them,
Okay.
because I mean, Forex Shark is going to launch the project no matter what climate it is, because he knows that eventually people are going to understand what kind of value they're going to get, so they're going to eventually just come in and use the system, right? So I think that over time, even drip, like people are going to come back to drip. And right now, we've seen a lot of people take out a lot of BNB from the reservoir, hopefully to deposit it into the animal farm, but that eventually is going to go back into the faucet, right? So I think, like, there's always going to be economic disasters, and there's always going to be some sort of, issues going on in the market that's going to prevent people from launching products. But if we're going to wait till 2024, 2025 to launch another project, I think, we're never going to get ahead. So I know that Forex thinks of all these things, and for 100% sure he's not going to, let that go to waste. He's going to figure out a way to make things work, and he's going to succeed at the end of the day. The
Yeah.
only problem that he faces is there are so many, because there's so many projects that have come and gone within a month, like especially in DeFi, like these projects are not lasting. So a lot of people are looking at drip and they're saying this is exactly the same scenario that happened to this project and this project and this project. So why would I invest my $200 if the same thing is going to happen here, especially if they're hearing all the FUD about the minting and the delays and whatever, all this kind of information, which is why education, is so important.
Yeah.
So it's that part of the education of us, part of the members of the community, that we have to emphasize to make people understand that this project is not like the rest, and so are the other projects that are going to come out, hopefully in the next few months. They're not like the rest, and little by little, hundreds of thousands of people in the crypto sphere are going to come back into our ecosystem.
I like that.
Can I
Well,
say
anybody
something?
else? Absolutely. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
what
Go on, Drips. Chargy, go on.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, like, people like to think like, oh, crypto and DeFi is very dangerous, right? And I mean, it is, right? You have these protocols that come out with the intention of rug pulling. Maybe they don't have it right. Maybe they get exploited. But if we compare it to something simple, right, which is like a regular company, if we analyze, for example, the amount of companies that are started in the USA, how many of those actual companies make it?
Very
I'm going
little.
to say 1%.
Yeah, very little.
Maybe less, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're comparing that, there's no way that we can say that crypto is not as good as the real market, right? Because it's just getting started. It's still in the very beginning, especially when we're talking about DeFi protocols. They're figuring out a way to do things, right? And something that is so powerful is the amount of time that Drip has been operating without an exploit, without a rug pull. It creates confidence, right? So to me, Forex Shark has created the 1% company, right? He has created the 1% company in the DeFi sector. So if I'm putting my chips on someone, I'm putting it right on Mr. Forex Shark.
Just look at what happened to centralized exchanges this past week. They've been dropping like flies, but DeFi has been very safe. We haven't heard anything bad about even the big boys like PancakeSwap or Animal Farm.
Yep.
Nothing. But the centralized.
That's a very good point too about Forex being behind this ecosystem, because anything in crypto, anything in DeFi is a gamble, but most of the gamble hangs on the shoulders of whoever the developer is. And so with this developer, at the very least that you have an honest, hardworking developer that isn't running away with the funds, that isn't designing exploits into his products, and he doesn't even take a dev fee from Drip. So if you're considering any investment anywhere in crypto, you definitely have to look at, well, who's the developer behind this platform or this product? And I don't think you can do better than Forex Shark.
I agree. That's a major component of any successful DeFi project, crypto project in general. Your developer.
One less thing that we need to worry about.
Yes. Unmade Sugar, I know you had something to say on those questions. So for the folks that are just joining us, the question, we'll revisit it. The question is, there's always been a commitment from the influencers in the Drip ecosystem suggesting to investors to be patient and wait for the mana form and wait for the animal form. And once all that happens and the incremental utility, it will be worth your investment. So the question is, should Forex stop what he's doing and accelerate the additional utility just to respond to his stakeholders? Or should he not release the project and wait for the right time? So, Unmade Sugar, you're going to respond to that?
Okay, so I think that I don't think there should be a rush to bring out anything straight away till it's ready. I was speaking to some people today on a different Twitter space, and they were going on about the Animal Farm and how they want to invest, but like Mo and a few people said before, a lot of new crypto projects are around for a month and then they're gone. So I know a lot of people that are literally hanging around for 4 to 6 weeks to see where the farms are in 4 to 6 weeks. And they're a bit uneducated. Like I was literally saying to them today, that your money is safe in there, even if it all went down. There is you can go to BSC scan and you can take out your initial investment. And a lot of them didn't know this. They were completely unaware that you can safely put your money in here. And even if Forex decides to give up on everything on the Animal Farm, your money's safe. And with Drip, he's not going to let Drip go to zero. It could, like Drip Guy said, it could drop to 10 cents while there's nothing happening. But if it drops to 10 cents, that's just an amazing opportunity to get maxed out. Well, I'm maxing out multiple wallets if we go down that low.
Right. I agree.
It's. I think it is a lot of education at the moment that people just need to know, because a lot of people have been rugged. A lot of people have been scared about money they may have lost on exchanges, or I know a lot of people that have moved money even off Binance this week. Like Binance, which is probably the safest out of them all. And they've moved money this week off
Mm-hmm.
Binance because they just onto their MetaMask because they feel it's safer sitting on their MetaMask than sitting in the exchange.
Yeah, I agree. And we probably want to mention, since you brought it up, this is when you guys need to be thinking about securing your assets, right? Mo Crypto and Drip Gardner did a video on using hardware wallets. You guys need to watch one of their videos, if not both of them, and figure out a way to start protecting your assets and taking them off these exchanges. Okay? Let's stay there for a second, because here's what I want to reiterate, and I say this to a few people on my team as well. When they look at the drip price, in their mind, they believe something is wrong, that the drip network is broken. It's not broken. It's working the way it's intended to work. However, and we can't escape this, we have macroeconomic things happening around us that absolutely impacts drip's price, right? So there's news about FTX and all these other exchanges that are mismanaging funds, that are under investigation for some, suspicious activities with their funds. All of that has implications on the crypto market at large, and clearly the BS flows downstream. So nothing escapes the macroeconomic things. So drip is not broken. However, with everything that's going on, you need to protect your assets and get yourself a hardware wallet. All right. So that's another implication on drip's price, right? It has everything to do outside of drip. And then obviously some of the stuff is kind of self-inflicted as well. All right.
I would like to say too with that, and Forex spoke about this several times on recent AMAs, is that with drip and with Faucet, you're dealing with a product, a financial product that pays a yield in the native token. So if you invest in drip and you put it in the Faucet, you're earning a yield paid in drip tokens. And so it boils down again to managing your expectation and how much yield are you going to get, and what kind of yield is good. Is 100% yield good? Is 700% yield good? You have to sort of manage your expectations and realize that you're earning the yield, and it may be an asset that is depreciating in value, like the drip token has done. But the fact that you have that compounded interest and you're growing your bag of drip, you're earning a phenomenal 1% a day yield in drip.
Yeah.
You have a lot more drip tokens in your Faucet than when you started. Only a year later, you have a ton more drip in your Faucet after 18 months. So you have to balance the yield that you're getting in drip with the yield that you're actually getting in US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And understand that it might not be the same. You think, well, 1% a day compounded, that's 31.5x after a year. I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, no, because you got to give some room for the price to depreciate. It can happen, and it doesn't mean that you're getting a negative yield. It means you're getting less of a positive yield than you really thought. And it's difficult to understand. That's why I really like one of the many reasons I like the Animal Farm so much, because it's so cut and dry. You just buy some pigs tokens, throw those into the pig pen, boom, you're earning a yield that you can completely understand. You're literally earning free dollars and free additional pigs tokens in the pig pen. No brainer. Like everybody can understand that almost intuitively. And then of course, the price of the pigs token obviously matters as well.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier to conceptualize and understand, okay, this is the yield I'm getting. I invest $1,000, I buy the pigs, I put it in pig pen. I'm getting whatever it is currently, I think around 25 cents per token per day, just in the USD, which that right there is not too shabby. And then you're also getting additional pigs tokens that you can roll in it's a beautiful product, and it's so much easier to understand. I almost say, like I've said several times on my stream, we're kind of a victim of our own success here, because Animal Farm is so attractive, and for a lot of people in the drip community, the only money they have in all of crypto is drip. That's it. They
Boom.
have a pocket
Yes.
account. So of course they're going to be interested, as a member of the drip community. Of course they're going to be interested in the Animal Farm, and for the most part, they're going to have to sell some drip to get money to put it into the Animal Farm. So we're a little bit of a victim of our own success, but a victim of just the strangeness of a product that pays a yield in the very same token that you invest in, and a phenomenal yield at that. I almost, like, if I had to do it over again, if I could get into Forex's brain that day that he designed Drip and Faucet, not the day, whatever, the year that he spent developing it, I would say maybe not 1% a day. Like, maybe that's just asking, maybe that's just a little bit too nuts. Like,
Too generous.
can we do 0.2% a day? And then, like, that'll still be phenomenal, but there won't be so much extra drip being produced and sold in the market and dragging the price down. So
No, I
I
love
have a
it.
feeling layer 2 is going to try and model after the pig pen. Like, I've heard it called the Faucet 2.0,
Yeah.
and we've heard Forex say multiple times that it's much better to be able to take your dividend outside of the native token. And I have a feeling that's where his mind's going for that.
No, I've been a huge fan of Pigpen since day one. Yeah, that's where my focus is right now. For all the things you mentioned, I just like the fact that I earn yield in a non-native token, because it just gives me flexibility to stay within the ecosystem or do something else. And I think that's what people want, is the flexibility with their funds, and not the commitment sometimes.
Yesterday, I was thinking the exact same thing also, like Rock just said. Like, I feel like the layer 2 might be something as a mix between the dog pound and the pig pen. Like, you would be earning a second token, which I'm thinking might be BUSD or BNB, in addition to your drip as dividends, while still having the option to still stake drip itself to earn just drip. Like, it would have like that two option scenario, like the auto compound versus the linear. The only thing that is a little bit confusing to me is where would the dividends come from, right? Because now, for the dog pound, we have a lot of dividends coming from the sells of dogs and the buys of dogs, and entering in different pools, and different utilities are going to come. They're going to be sending some BNB in there also, and while still holding like a large sum locked into dog pound, we're still paying out 3% per day. But what are we going to do to supply that drip or USD or BNB in layer 2 faucet? That's where I'm stuck a little bit, and I don't know how he's going to do it without having to stop the MasterChef contracts for the Animal Farm or the drip community website for him to redevelop the whole thing. Like, it's going to cost a lot of delays unless he has like some sort of magical solution.
Yeah, I hope he does have a magical solution. He's smart enough to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And let's say this, because I'm trying to tell people this isn't all doom and gloom, right? We're not avoiding any of the tough questions because we want to answer them head on, because transparency and being extremely candid is what you expect and you need to make smart decisions when it comes to your finances, right? You don't need any ambiguity. You need to cut and dry, whether you like the answer or not, so that you can make an informed decision on what to do next. And that's all we're trying to do here. So let me go into this. Like, the Animal Farm, right on. The Animal Farm is kicking butt. Consider the circumstances, right? We're hovering right around the 129, 130-ish million in TVL constantly. And everything else around us is imploding, right? And we've said that we continue to earn dividends in the pig pen. People are happy with the dog pound. There's some complexity around, the piggy bank, right? Because it's a little difficult to understand. But you don't have to go there. There is a ton of options depending on what your needs are financially for you to get involved. Like, how many other protocols and projects can say that in this space during this moment in time? And that list is short. You could probably count it with two fingers. Right? I'm just being honest. It's not a lot, right? So we have to think about the bright side. Do I honestly believe that Forex Shark is going to abandon one of his children? And that being right, that being the Drip Network. That's absolutely not going to
Absolutely not.
happen,
No.
right?
I
And here's
agree
why.
that he's not going to abandon, but I've been saying this more and more often, that he's just one piece of the puzzle, because there's so many community members, there's so many creative thinkers, that I've heard Forex say that if he dies, Drip lives on. And that's kind of the point. And what he created was a gift for us, and it's up to us, maybe not right now, but it's kind of up to us to continue to hold that torch and to continue to figure out creative ways to utilize Drip.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a good point to mention, or maybe repeat, for anybody that's listening that doesn't really understand what a smart contract does. It's the smart contract. It's basically software installed on the blockchain, and what's important about that is that that will continue to exist as long as the Binance Smart Chain continues to exist. It will be there, irrespective of whatever happens to Forex, and I certainly hope nothing disastrous happens to
Long live the king.
Forex. But it is important for people to understand that this is truly a decentralized DeFi product, and nothing hinges upon, nothing that's already out there. That's another thing too. A lot of times in crypto and in DeFi, you'll hear people talking about this project and that project. And with Drip, we're dealing not with a project, but a product. This is something that's already completely developed. You
Interesting.
don't
Love
have
that.
to wait on Forex
Love
to
that.
add this function or that function. No, it's a complete standalone product installed on the blockchain and not going, immutable, not going anywhere. And someone mentioned earlier about, staking your assets on the animal farm, and that's absolutely correct. If something happens to Forex and he gives up the website and the whole deal and just goes off to trade, which, oh my gosh, the guy makes so much money trading cryptos. But anyway, if he goes away, you're going to be able to access those smart contracts, the same deal, immutable software written on the blockchain. You're going to be able to access that through BSC scan and emergency unstake or emergency undraw your assets. And people could have done that, by the way, with the V1 of the farm as well. A lot of people didn't realize
people actually already did that for this.
Hey guys,
they didn't read the underlying spot where it says your assets will be able to unstake within 4 hours. And I saw a number of people in Telegram saying, don't worry guys, I emergency unstaked. So it's already been proven that works. People have already done it. They didn't need to, but they have already done it.
Beautiful.
Love it. Love it. Here, someone else just joined to speak. I want to see if he's got a moment. Mike, Crypto Cuban.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Hey, Mike.
Excellent. So I'm huge dripper here. I mean, I've loved Drip since the moment I heard about it. I mean, as a matter of fact, the day after I heard about it, I put all the BNB I had in my wallet at the time into it. I was like, this is amazing. And is that one of the biggest things that is good for Drip is also one of its biggest drawbacks, and it's this. Drip has a level of genius working for it that you just do not see anywhere else in the crypto space, and that is very difficult for most people to understand.
Yes.
Anybody who's going to get into Drip is going to immediately just like go look at the price, and then they're going to put their entire thought process based on the price and not on any of the other metrics that Drip has for it. So right now, when you were just asking, should Forex wait until the market gets better, to release all these products? Like, no, I think he should just maintain the course, because right now what is going on is that people selling at this current price are burning through that liquid supply so fast. Because let's think about it this way: to get any significant, or to the regular person, a significant amount of money, let's say 100, 200 bucks, that's going to cost you 50 drip right now. Just to get
Mm-hmm.
$100, 50
Mm-hmm.
drip. And when you're a whale, let's all imagine that we're whales and you're going to go cash out on your drip. You're not even really looking at how many drip it is. You're just looking at that cash value. So
Yeah.
if all you're looking at is that cash value, it's cash out $1,000, $2,000 worth of drip, you've just burned through, 1,000 drip right there. Just like
Mm-hmm.
that, boom. So it is absolutely perfectly well designed. And I think Forex knows what he's doing. I think he is purposely letting people burn through their wallets at this current price. So then once that circulating supply starts getting down, we've already burned over 300,000 drip in wallets in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
The more we just keep on burning that supply, the less buy pressure is going to be required to have some really positive price action. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just want to let that thing keep on burning, let all these futters say whatever they want, sell whatever you want, do it, bro. Because everybody that's doing that right now, the way I explain it to my team is there is a huge pie out there. There is $100 pie out there, okay? And that is all of
Mm-hmm.
the liquidity that's in drip right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that is selling is just giving up their piece of the pie. And everybody that's buying is able to buy their pieces of the pie at a much lower cost of entry. So
Yes.
it just makes sense for me to stack and stack and stack right now. Absolutely no intention of selling until I hit a max wallet. So
Now, Mike, let me ask you this. Because again, everything you're saying probably makes sense to the core group, right? Because we probably share the same level of enthusiasm and conviction as you. Like, dial into that for someone else who may not share that level of enthusiasm. Like, what gives you that level of confidence to say these prices continue to drop? I'm looking at a chart which I don't quite understand because I've never seen one like that before. Tell me why I should be investing and doubling down.
because
Yeah, I'd like to tackle that. Go first, please, and then I'd like to tackle that, Mike.
I was just going to say it's because of kind of what I said earlier. It's that there's nothing like this in the crypto space right now. Okay, so everybody's just going to immediately gravitate towards the price, but there are so many other metrics that are much more valuable to give you context, and that's the key word is context. Okay, if you're seeing a price go down, then you're also seeing liquidity go down. You're also seeing users go down. Well, that's not a good sign. But all we're seeing right now is just the price because liquid supply is going down, which is bullish. We're seeing over 2,000 new wallets this month, and we're not even halfway through the month yet. We're seeing
That's the meat that people need, right? You need to give them something to chew on. Like, that's the stuff that people can actually go research and point a finger at. You know what I mean? Outside of us providing lip service and this hype, people don't want to hear that because we've been saying that for quite some time now. Show me the data for people that are interested in that, and you just pointed them to that. Like, that's what people need. Like, it's just not because we're in the small group of people and we're excited and we all are like-minded and we're saying the same things. No, we're pointing at analytics, history, insight, AMAs, white papers, other
if
examples that have crashed and burned, and saying this is why we feel confident about forging forward.
exactly
So
like most of the time in my personal whenever something doesn't make sense to me, okay, but it seems to make sense to a whole lot of other people, that means I'm missing a puzzle piece. I'm missing something that makes it make sense to them that I just don't know yet. Knowledge. If you acquire the knowledge, then dude, it's so hard not to be bullish on drip if you have the knowledge. If you understand that there are more than one metrics that have more value
more value than just the price, then that you can't help but be bullish on it. It is, in my opinion, only a matter of time. Once we start dwindling down this circulating supply even more, it gets staked even more, it gets put into animal farm. It's just a matter of time before it goes up. And one huge thing about animal farm, that's so genius about it and why it's been weathering this storm so well, guys, 90% of its liquidity is in BUSD. So it doesn't move. It does not fluctuate with the market. So it's almost like a safe haven from everything else that's going on. It doesn't even matter which direction BNB goes. Everything is in BUSD. So that's just a genius move that I think the Forex it was a really great move for him to put most of the liquidity in BUSD.
Yep. I would say in commodities markets, there's a saying that goes, high prices are the solution for high prices, and low prices are the solution for low prices. So in other words, if the price of a given commodity, whether it's whatever, pork bellies or bushels of corn or whatever, if the price goes really high, then you get more people jumping on the bandwagon and producing that particular commodity, and then you have an oversupply, and the high prices eventually cause the prices to go back down. So high prices are the solution for high prices. And similarly, on the other end of that, when the price of whatever commodity is going low, then you have a lot of those producers that go offline. They're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not making enough money. So they stop producing that particular commodity. And lo and behold, the supply drops and the price begins to correct and reverse. That's why commodities prices are always so cyclical. So we have something that happens with drip in particular, which is, I really think there is some low price out there that will be the solution for the low drip price. In other words, it's going to go to a certain low price where it's basically going to just turn around from there, because you always have new people getting into drip, right? And maybe it's more difficult these days because a lot of people have that crypto trader mindset. They look at the price chart and they just walk the other way. And really, with Drip and Faucet, you have a product that's designed to help you move away from that trader mindset and move away towards the speculative trading and get into the business of hodling, right? Which is what you need to do. That's your best opportunity to make life-changing gains in crypto, is to be a hodler, not a trader. So you have new investors coming in every day, like Mike said, and think about the average newbie. Like maybe they're going to put $100. Maybe on average they put $100 in, and they buy whatever number of tokens they can buy for their average investment of $100. You have sellers of drip, the OGs like me and other people that have already been in drip for some time, and they need to sell drip at the same time. They're still selling that same dollar value, and they have a limited supply. I have a limited supply of drip that I can sell, and that's not going up. Like, you have your max payout, you have your 100K MMP, maximum max payout, you have your 1% of your deposit per day, plus you're getting hit by the whale taxes. There's only so many physical drip tokens that I can sell in a given day, or anybody that's been in the system for a long period of time. There's only a limited number of tokens that they can sell per day. Eventually, you get to a point where that average investor times however many number of average investors you get each day, that buying pressure begins, because they're bringing $100. Each person on average, let's say, is bringing $100 to the table, and you get X number of new investors every day, which is also growing because you have the referral system. You have people like us telling other people about drip. It's increasing every day in terms of the number of people that actually have heard of drip and are considering an investment in drip. So eventually you have that average investment times the number of average investors that overwhelms and bringing that many X number of dollars into the liquidity pool versus the limited number of tokens that can be sold from the existing players. And eventually it will hit a point where it overwhelms. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm doing a horrible job of explaining it. But
No, it makes sense to
there,
me.
there
No, I
is
don't
a
think
point
so.
where the low price becomes the cure for the low price, because
Well,
the average investor, I don't know what the dollar figure is, but assuming it is some set number, like the average new user brings $100 to the table or whatever that number is, there's a point at which that much capital flowing in times that number of tokens matches up with the number of tokens being sold, and eventually the buy pressure turns around and starts to overwhelm the sell pressure, and you have a
Excellent
net
explanation.
especially
inflow of
since
capital.
there is going to be a number of people that just stake their tokens into the farm. So that it requires less selling than normal because we now have a utility where we can put those tokens, right? The first of
Yes,
many.
beautiful point. We have increased use case for the drip token, so it's not just going to the faucet anymore. It's also going to Animal Farm.
Hey, Mo, you had something to say?
No, I was just saying Brandon had a great explanation. Like, this is the definition of the, like, economics, like at some point there's going to be way more buying pressure than selling pressure. We just have to tough it out and go through these bumps in the road, and eventually we'll all, it's all going to make sense to us. We just have to be patient with it, and as we've been saying from the start to now, educating everybody about it is going to be key in getting that drilled into their minds.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And let me ask you
Well,
this,
and I
guys.
think the advertising changed. Sorry, I was just thinking that because of the way that Brandon's been describing the math on price going down, it almost switches to before it used to advertise, look at the price that's going up and look at what it could be. It could be $1,000 token, it could be $100 token, whatever that price hopium was. But now if we switch our method of speaking to, hey, it's a 3,000x for the if it goes down, it's only a 700% increase. That starts to make a lot more sense for people, so they're not so hopeful for that $100 price point.
I agree.
The way I really tell people about it, the way I told my team about it, is if you're looking to get rich quick, you're going to be disappointed. Okay, because drip in itself, the brand behind it, the drip in the bucket, that is the mentality you need to have going into this. A drip a day fills the bucket. And if you keep on filling your bucket with compound DCA whenever you can, eventually you are going to hit that max payout. And the thing about max payout is this isn't one of those like advertising shenanigans where like on the bottom, you see in the fine print, results are not typical, or something like that. This is typical. Max payout, a max wallet is typical if you play the game. If you get discouraged and you stop playing the game, of course you're going to lose because you stop playing the game. You got to keep on going until you hit your goal. And I mean, the goal for everybody should be max payout. Getting that 27,400 there in the wallet to hit your 100K. And then from then on out, I mean, it's almost impossible to not make an ROI when you're at max payout.
Like, honestly, who's at this point is going to just stop hydrating? Like, it just doesn't make sense if you have the slightest belief in this ecosystem to just stop hydrating and just let your faucet go. Just keep going, because eventually you're gonna get to a point where it's going to make much more sense for you than just selling at a price of $2. Like, it just doesn't make sense to sell or to just let it be compounding forever at this point.
I think that's a good point too, that results are not only typical, they're guaranteed. That Faucet is software installed on the blockchain. It is programmed to pay you 365% on whatever you deposit and whatever you add to your deposit, guaranteed. It's on the blockchain. It's immutable software on the blockchain. It's going to do that.
No one is behind a keyboard ticking away, sending you your dividend on a certain day. This is autonomous. Forex is not responsible for paying you out anything, dude. He just pressed enter. on April 21st, 2022 or 21, whenever it was, he just pressed enter, go, and that's it, dude. That's it. No one is behind the scenes. That makes this so powerful. You know, you don't have to
Right.
rely on anything in order
That
to
is
get
the
that.
answer. That is the answer, by the way. That is the
Yes.
quintessential response to the whole Ponzi
Yes.
accusation. It's like, no, dude, drip is a token. It's not a Ponzi. It's not a pyramid. It's literally just a freaking cryptocurrency. And Faucet
Yep.
is software installed on the blockchain. It's programmed to do what it does. And it does it. It pays you 1% a day on whatever you have in your deposit. Period. The
Yes.
end. Full stop.
I love it. I love it. No, this is good information. This is the type of insight that most of us have behind closed doors in a small group, which is why we, again, feel so convicted about us continuing to either hyper compound or DCAN when we can afford. It's because we spend the time really understanding the tokenomics. We talk to other people that are smarter than us and they've been in the space longer than us. So they can help us understand that, hey, this bear market, this is normal. So for a lot of people that have not been here ever, you have no idea what it feels like and what to expect. In your mind, the earth is crashing and there's no way out of it. And then you listen to other people that have been through a cycle before, and they're simply saying, be patient. Understand why you should be patient. Economics associated with it. It's a smart contract. It's immutable. It's still paying the 1% per day. Your goals should be maxing out a wallet. If you max out a wallet and the price goes here, you're still going to RO. Like these are all quantifiable and explicit statements, right? That's why we continue to be so convicted. All right. So here, what I'm gonna do, because we've said a lot, there is one person that is requesting to speak, and I don't know the person. So that kind of makes me nervous. So we're going to say this once again.
Let's get them on.
Everyone on Nano is willing to answer any of the tough questions, right? Because we're influencers in the space, we're educators, we're with it. However, I will not tolerate the nonsense. So if you've got a tough question, ask it, but there's a way to ask a tough question. I'll use this example because it came from one of my favorite television shows. So there was a father, and his daughter came home from college and presented the boyfriend as her husband. Never met him before. The first time he saw him, he was his daughter's husband. He was an exceptional, brilliant, articulate hand, but the way the daughter presented him was he was a steak on top of a trash can lid. So it's the way that you present your questions that matters the most. All right. So I'm going to let Evan, you are a speaker now. Is he connected?
Hey, Evan.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Evan.
Not really a question. Been in drip for a long time. Been in since February, and just been DCAing and put quite a bit of money into the drip ecosystem in the animal farm. So I basically I wanted to come up here and just thought of basically speaking of drip, and I know there's been a lot of concerns around it, and just thought I'd bring my idea to the table. I know that people have been worried about the price. People have been worried about how many are in circulating supply. But my thought on the whole thing is Forex made this ecosystem with the taxes involved to be able to continue to pay out people. And we've seen that been able to still continue. And the only real negative thing that I think that people keep on bringing up is the fact on it's just continuously minting more drip, which is fine. But on a DeFi perspective, the supply that we have is 99% less than the DeFi protocols you see pop up all the time. Like you see coins with billions in supply, some with even trillions in supply, and it's just absurd.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look
That's a
at
good point.
when I look
Yeah.
at Drip and I see a small 3 million supply, and when you're on a perspective on you looking on the outside in, I came from, investing in stocks and everything else, looking at circulating, shares and outstanding shares and all that stuff. 3 million is nothing. You don't even see
Yeah.
companies with 3 million outstanding shares. That's unheard of. So my thought was, I know that we have the small tax from the drip BUSD farm in the farms. My thought was, if Forex would implement not a 1%, not even a 0.5%, what if he did a 0.2 or 0.3 on every farm and every pool that would go back to buy? Imagine the amount of money that would be created by every pool having. I mean, you wouldn't even
Mm-hmm.
blink at it. If I paid a 0.2 or 0.3% on, I have some in the Pancake BUSD pool, I wouldn't even flinch. I wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah.
But you got to think,
Yep.
as the amount of volume that's created out of the whole ecosystem of the animal farm in the farms and the pools, that would actually equivalent to quite a bit amount of money that is being created. And that is the only thing that I worry about with drip is a circulating supply. But if you were to implement those little touches, I think that would go a long way to continue to
Mm-hmm.
keep the circulating supply at a lower amount. So that's just my thoughts, and glad to see everybody here. And yeah, I don't see many. I'm on Twitter quite a bit. Don't see many drip spaces, so it's good to see. So
Yeah. Thanks, Evan. Look, we appreciate you actually chiming in. That's an excellent point. I'm actually going to give our team an opportunity to kind of process what you said and see if they have any thoughts about it. But I think it's an excellent idea. It should not be sustainability in drip. Why not have some small amount of tax and maybe buy the drip and burn it, or buy the drip and deposit the tax inside of the tax vault? Why not? I think everything should be on the table. We're just talking out loud anyway. I'm certain Forex Shark probably has a long-term plan for sustainability, but we're just kind of talking. I think it's a good point. Anybody else want to chime in on what Evan had to say?
I think it's a very good point. The only thing that I think is going to be an issue with implementing this tax on in and out of every single farm is that Forex has to, I think, but I'm not sure, has to pause the animal farm again to have that change implemented, just like he implemented that change for the drip BUSD farm. So I think it's a great idea, and it's probably going to help the farm big time, just because of the amount of close to 100,000 drip that we saw going from that one single farm, the drip BUSD farm, going from there to the tax vault. That made a huge difference on the contract for the tax vault. So I think if that's implemented on all the other farms and pools, it would be a great idea. I just don't see how he would do it in a convenient way that'll allow everybody to relax while he's doing it, because they're for sure going to flip out when they're going to hear, hey, I have to pause the contract again for a third or fourth time, whatever it is now. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
I think implementing something like that, although it would be good for drip, I think it would definitely take away then from the dogs and pigs, because right now my concept of the farm is, the more attractive the farm is, the higher the BUSD TVL, the better pigs performs, the better dogs perform, is going to attract more people to that farm, to the animal farm. And it's going to attract more eyes onto drip in itself. So people, if you take away that 1% or 0.1% or whatever it is from the pigs or from the dogs, I think you'd be taking away just a little bit of people's profits from those two tokens or those two farms, you know, dog pound, pig pen, wherever he may take it from. When the reality is, I think most people are probably going to be using their profits from the pig pen and from the dog pound for drip anyway. So I think it would kind of take away from the profitability when most people are already kind of putting their funds towards the faucet. I mean, at least that's what I'm doing, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's like the mentality behind it, is like the better the farm does, then the better the faucet will do in time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Forex. Forex is not interested in pumping anybody's bags right now. You know, if he wanted to, he could put $1 million in and, you know, just make a $20 drip price and then just watch it as people sell, just come down. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to build something long term that is sustainable over that long term. And I think that's what he's doing by putting money in people's pockets. I mean, the BUSD dividends and the BNB dividends from the farm are phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I am using every little bit of my BUSD that I get from the pig pen and from the dog pound, and I'm just putting that right into drip all on my own.
Me too.
You know, no implemented tax necessary for me. And I think that's true for most people. And I think that's what's also in the mind of Forex. You know, he doesn't want people to just take advantage of drip. He wants to benefit long-term supporters and long-term holders of his projects. So if you're in drip and you're in the animal farm, I mean, you're double dipping. You know, you're getting the best of these both worlds in a sustainable long-term way. And I think the pig's price and dog's price is just a bargain right now as compared to where I think it will be once more eyes get on the farm and once the fear level in crypto starts to diminish. Because right now we're just at like red alert, you know, number 5 on the alert scale right now in crypto. So there's going to be a lot of skepticism right now. So once the skepticism dies down, the fear levels go down, I think Forex is going to be more inclined to start doing those regular injections. And the tax vault I know is already automatic. That 1% goes there automatically. Forex doesn't have to do anything with that. The only thing that's manual right now is the 2% buybacks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's been sitting on a fat bag of buybacks because I don't think he's done one in the past, like maybe week or so, or maybe even 2 weeks. So I think he's just kind of biding his time right now with those buybacks, just waiting for the perfect moment to inject that. But I think within time, these wheels are going to start turning really, really well. And we're going to all start thinking to ourselves, man, I'm so glad we didn't get like a big fat injection 2 weeks ago, because this little drip in the bucket, you know, for drip is going to work much better. It's giving us an opportunity to stack our bags at $2.
Yes.
I was reminded.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that was all of that was really well said, Mike. I appreciate that. And one thing that came to my mind as you were speaking is you know, the red alert crypto 9/11 that we're experiencing right now. What people need to realize, as scary as today is in crypto, Animal Farm is the complete solution. Animal Farm is the solution for the havoc and the nightmare that we're all living through right now. Animal Farm 100%. Is the freaking solution, because you can take, first of all, you can earn an amazing yield on stable coins. So if you're like, oh my God, crypto is crashing and Bitcoin is going to go down to 11,000 or whatever, then put your investment in stable coins, which the value of which isn't going anywhere, and earn 178% APR on TUSD, BUSD. That's what I'm doing right now. You know, so wait out the storm in stablecoin and earn dogs tokens, which is likely to be an appreciating asset over time, and whether, you know, wait it out.
Totally.
And at the same time, keep possession of your keep custody of your crypto. Like, that is the lesson. I still can't believe it. I mean, I think I told you guys, I lost money in Mount Gox. I was buying Bitcoin back in 2013, 2014. Mount Gox crumbled. I lost all of my Bitcoins. Hopefully I'm going to get some of them back in January. But people continue to leave their assets on the centralized exchange instead of retaining custody of their own crypto. Not your keys, not your crypto. Animal Farm is the solution to that. Not only can you maintain custody of your money and your crypto, but you can earn a fantastic yield while you're waiting out this storm.
And one really important thing that I think a lot of people are also scared of is this talk of stable coins, crumbling to nothing, because it's happened with Terra Luna had an algorithmic stable coin that went to zero. Now USDC is in some sort of peril. BUSD is the only one stable coin in the entire crypto universe that is 100% audited, 100% transparent, and kept in a 1-to-1 stored value by Paxos Global. It is the only stable coin that has all of those things going for it. So, I mean, BUSD is just the absolute best bet as far as stable coins that are here today, that are going to be here tomorrow and next year. So I'm going as hard as I can in BUSD.
That's a beautiful point. I gotta cut out of here pretty soon, but I wanted to give maybe just kind of a final thoughts, at least from me, is I'm very often asked the question of, from a newbie on my streams will ask me, okay, I have $500. What should I do? I have $1,000. What should I do?
Yes.
And I've, over the last couple of months, I've kind of shifted my perspective on that a little bit. And it just it's kind of in flux, but I would say, look, I would have to say if I had to start all over again, I would still go probably 50-50 into Drip and into Animal Farm. Like Animal Farm, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. I know it's going to be successful. I know it's going to continue to grow. I know I'm going to earn a nice, tasty yield while I ride out the storm, or maybe things turn around and we get bullish again. I know I'm gonna make money on Animal Farm, and Drip is definitely more of a question mark. But at the same time, it's also like I'm probably not gonna get a 16,000% return on my money in a year and a half on Animal Farm. It's just probably not gonna happen. But I could get that with Drip, So there's that. It could happen sort of flavor to that half of the investment. So I still would have to say, if I'm doing it over again, especially with the price as it is right now, and the idea that there's literally a fixed limit on the number of tokens that existing drippers can sell each day, and there's a growing amount of BUSD that comes into the ecosystem every day. Eventually that's going to overwhelm. Eventually the demand is going to overwhelm the supply, and I think that the drip price will start to head higher again, or at least it'll stabilize in sort of range for the next year and a half. And that's all I need. I need a year to a year and a half with my faucet. I know what I'm going to get in terms of drip. And, if that price is still $2 in a year and a half, congratulations, 16,000% return on my money.
Excellent.
Hey, Brandon.
Excellent ending. Thank you
like
so
to
much.
join
That was
us
so
on the
clear
Mega Live on Saturday?
and an excellent point.
Sorry, both of you were talking.
Yeah, let's go with Mo Crypto, and I think LD's got a question for him. Mo, you still there?
What happened to Mo?
Yeah, what happened to Mo? LD, go ahead and ask him his questions. Sounds like Brandon's got to wrap up.
Yeah, Brandon, I just wanted to invite you to the Mega Live on Saturday. Are you available on Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to join us on the
5
Mega
p.m. I'm gonna say probably. Depends on. It depends on. Yeah, I think that might be date night for Mrs. Drip Guide and me. But you said 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So that's 4 p.m. Central. I could probably do that. I mean, I enjoy the heck out of it. So I mean, I would absolutely love to, but I also have to keep Mrs. Drip Guide happy. So
Smart man.
I would definitely pencil me in for that. And if anybody DMs me, make sure you tag me first in the Team Drip Guide main chat, t.me/Team Drip Guide. Yeah, if you're gonna DM me, make sure to tag me at DBDSan in the chat there, and then I'll see that. But yeah, I would love to. I would absolutely love to join you guys. I saw that last weekend, and I was like, that's really cool. I want us to since July last year, or maybe August last year, when it used to be just me and Danny on the live streams. I've wanted that Hexagon-like presence that they have on YouTube. You know what I mean? There's like almost a live stream like almost 24/7 for Hex. I think it's died down probably recently, but I've always wanted that for us drippers and animal farmers. So yeah, I'd absolutely love to join that.
Cool.
That's
if you send me a
rockstar.
DM then on Twitter, because my Telegram, I'm not allowed to send any messages in any groups except my own groups. So if you can send me a DM on Twitter, that would be amazing. That way I can send you the invite link.
Who's that talking?
That's Drip Strategy.
Drip Strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, done. I will DM you on Telegram.
Twitter. Yeah, Telegram or Twitter.
Twitter. Twitter. I'll DM you on Twitter.
Cool. We also got a Drip Girl joining us as well, so it'll be a fun time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, I just want to say this, and I need to say this publicly. You had no idea who I was, right? We had not interacted prior to today. And I
like your handle, by the way. I didn't realize it until you introduced yourself at the beginning of this Twitter Spaces. Kryptonite. It's Crypto Night, but it also sounds like Kryptonite. Like
absolutely. There is a story behind it, and I will share with you on a different Twitter space. But there is a story behind it. Look, man, this is how kind and considerate he is. He had no idea who I was. Maybe he thought my handle was pretty cool. And I just asked the very simple question: will you join me and our team on a Twitter Spaces at this day and this time? And his response was as simple as it gets: sure. That's the value of a community. We support each other unselfishly. And the whole intent is to educate and bring brand awareness to the drip ecosystem. This is how we could do our part. I saw a tweet earlier today, and someone was saying it's Forex's primary responsibility to fix drip. And I would disagree. It's his responsibility to maybe continue to create utility because he understands that there's value in the utility. But then it's the responsibility of the community to bring the awareness and the education. It is a joint effort. It is a partnership. And the fact that Brandon unselfishly decided to come on tonight exhibits that. It explicitly states that. So I want to thank you for your time because I know how busy you are. Thank you again.
Oh, no problem. And you know, kudos to you. You're very well spoken. All of you have been really well spoken, and I think that reflects very positively on the ecosystem. I love that we are starting to grow our reach, not only on YouTube, like where we're going crazy on YouTube, but it's nice to branch out into these other platforms. So I'm more than happy to be a part of it. And I do my stream early on Wednesday, so I finished up. I'm on Central Time here, so I finished up a little after 5, maybe 5:30. I ran downstairs to get something to eat, and then my wife is studying. She's a third-year med student, so I ran into the room and said hello to her. I hadn't seen her all day, and I'm like, She's like, are you coming to bed? I'm like, no, not tonight. I'm gonna. She says, you're gonna stream again. I'm like, no, it's a Twitter Space. It's totally different. But so
Well, tell her
so.
we said thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely my pleasure. Maybe not so much the pleasure of Mrs. Drip Guide, but it is what it is. I'm happy to be
Excellent.
here. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for the kind words and introduction and everything else. And yeah, have fun, guys. I will. I guess I'll talk with you guys on Saturday.
Sounds good, Brandon.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
certainly.
Thanks for joining us.
All
Right on. Take care, guys.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and this is what I want to do next. We invited one other speaker on. That's Blockchain Bay. I want to give her a chance to speak. And then for our core team, if there's anything else you guys wanted to mention, say if there's a question you're getting from your team and you just want to bounce it off with a group, I think that's a good time to do it after
Can I
Blockchain
jump
Bay
on real
says something.
quick? 'Cause my
Yes,
phone's about to
unmade
die.
sugar. There you go. See, that's for you.
Sorry, right. I just want to say, before my phone dies, right? I when I started in drip, I bought 5 drip for $100, and I literally for 318 days, I hydrated that and got it up to 100 drip. That same $100 now would buy you 50 drip, and in that 318 days, you could hydrate away up to 1,000 drip now. So now is an amazing opportunity for people to get in.
Love it. That's a mic drop moment right there.
So I will see you all on Saturday.
Right on, unmade sugar.
And I will have a great rest of your space. And I'm going to go to bed because I've got a school run in 5.5 hours.
Get some rest, my friend.
I will, buddy. See you later. Cheers, everyone.
Okay. Cheers, mate.
See you later. Bye.
Okay. All right. So we'll let Blockchain Bay speak, and then we'll kind of wrap up with any parting thoughts or questions. Blockchain Bay, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone in the
Hey,
space. Hello,
how you doing?
Drip to Well. I'm well. I have a question about Drip in the next all-time highs. Everyone is pretty much like at this point maxing out their drip faucets, and I'm in the garden, so it's like people with millions and millions of plants. How do you see or project that Drip will reach its next all-time highs with paying everyone out at these max accounts with the 3% with the reduction inside of the garden and the max payout inside of the faucet against the sell pressure of the price?
It's a good question. Who wants to jump in?
I think human emotion is going to have a lot to do with that. And the reason why I say that is because that's the one factor that can't really be quantified, but it does have a significant impact on the price. Eventually, assuming that drip is at its all-time high, whatever it may be, if that's 200, if it's hitting its all-time high again, since it already hit it back in January, February, whenever it was, assuming that it's already made that climb means that in order to make that climb, there has to be a whole new set of brand new investors with a whole new set of confidence in drip that did not exist during that first bull run. And that whole set of confidence is going to then inspire a lot more FOMO than ever existed in that first run. And I think that human emotion factor is going to have a lot to do with what is going to take drip to its next all-time high and then surpass that. Most of the people that would be cashing out by that time would be us. Would be us. Right now at this time, people who are building up their faucets, assuming that, in the next year or year and a half or whenever it may be, we're not going to have to sell massive bags of drip in order to be well off. With drip at $100, shit, I could pay my entire mortgage, all my bills, like everything that I need to pay, and still have a cool 30 grand a month to put back into drip. So I think once drip makes it through this, what I like to call this right now, this is the boss battle. Okay, in any video game you ever play, you know, in order to beat the game or to get to that next level, to get that next upgrade, you need to go up against the boss battle, and that boss battle is going to test your metal. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it is going to, you're going to have to put everything you have to beat that boss. And that's what we're doing right now. Not only do we have to deal with all the FUD that people just naturally FUD drip, but then we also have to deal with the market collapsing all around us. And we have to deal with the fact that drip is at $2, which at a quick glance, people will think that's a negative factor, but it isn't if you understand it. But once we get through this boss battle, I think that's going to prove to a lot of people out there that just take drip as just another run-of-the-mill crypto, Ponzi, whatever you want to call it, when in fact is not that. But it's going to take a period of testing and a period of dragging it through the mud, so to speak, to where people can really say, oh, wow, you know, drip didn't go to zero and I had to deal with all this. Every single day that drip does not go to zero is the reason why drip will never go to zero.
Woo!
Yes.
You gotta listen. Are you picking up
That
what
was
he's
a
putting down?
bar.
Okay. Are you picking
I
up what he's
like
putting down?
that.
Really well said. Congrats, my
Yes.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
There he is.
Oh God, I recognize that voice.
There he is. DeFi Roof
You know what it
in
is,
the
man.
building.
Hey,
He's bringing.
I wanted to go in a little bit on that same what she was asking, which was a great question. And how I could best answer that is I think for me, I believe that when we started off with Reap, it started just as a reflection token. Now fast forward, a year and a half, and now we have a whole ecosystem. Not only do we have drip, but we have a ecosystem which is paying out people. I mean, if you guys see the animal farm, it's still at 130 million. Why?
Yes.
People don't want to leave an ecosystem that's actually making money on a bear market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let alone the price right now. I've done this plenty of times before. The thing is, who's gonna be here? Who's the strong? Who survives this bear market? Now, let me tell you this. Sometimes, I could show somebody drip and show them the website, and they'll be like, it looks a little. But what happened when we compete with the best and our drip UI comes out? That's gonna bring in a whole flush of people who wanna basically see something, that looks like the competitors.
Yeah.
Not only that, but even taking it even deeper, a layer two, reservoir is gonna bring a whole new influx of YouTubers because there's gonna be so much use cases. From what I already heard, it's mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I could even go deeper than that. If we go into the layer two faucet, that's gonna open up a whole new wave of people. It gets crazy because now you have the option to either go in to your normal hydration, or you could use your hydrate and get into basically this gamification of this layer two, which brings like the daily jackpots. And if we go deeper than that, we could go talk about scratchies and how that's gonna bring in a couple heads. Because hey, I'm very impressed on how they managed to work with Chainlink and get these actually randomized scratch tickets that not only are we going to be able to use, but people all over DeFi space are going to be using it. And guess who benefits from that? The drip holders. So for me, at this price, it's nothing but it's Turkey Day. I'm a gobble all the drip I can. And
It's hard not to be bullish when you know.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to change the name of my channel to "I'm Addicted to Scratchy."
Yo, I'm loving it. Blockchain Bay, did we answer your question?
Yeah. I just wanted to say too, I definitely appreciate every single last person that's in the community, because all of this at the $2, even with it like slowly bleeding down, it's the power of the community that's stopping it from going beyond the $2 that I'm seeing. Like I was checking and I'm like, it's still at what is it, 208? It was like 208 for hours, and like people are really
It's
not
holding
letting
the
it go.
line. It's holding the line nicely.
So Yeah, so it's just the power of the community. That's overall what I'm learning because I'm only like 2 years into crypto, so I'm learning that all of these tokens they go on the power of the community, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily just the dev. Like the dev
Correct.
provides the platform, but the community is the people that keep it ran up with the TVL. It is us. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's interchangeable. So I just want to thank everybody, for doing their part, playing their part, and investing and believing in the project at $2. And I love Drip; it's my baby. So I just wanted
Right
to say
on.
that.
Right on.
We love you, Lady of the Faucet.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Love that.
And y'all have a great night. I'm gonna go and listen.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good one, blockchain.
Now, who haven't we heard from? Is Mark on the line still? I'm gonna put him on blast. Is Mark on the line?
Hey, Kryptonite, I gotta take this shot and I gotta leave.
Sounds good.
Baby's crying, so I gotta go and help out there.
Sounds good.
Thanks again, guys. Have a great night, guys.
All right. Thanks, LD. Drip strategy. Okay, so here's what we'll do, guys, because I just realized it's 6:40. Are there any parting thoughts, considerations, questions that any other speakers want to say as we wrap up?
Yeah. Can I say one last thing before you wrap up? Mike?
Of course.
Absolutely. I just want to tell everybody in the drip community, bro. I'm really proud of you guys. This is a real family. You guys encourage everybody else to do what's right. I know the FUD is going crazy right now, but this is why we're you know what I'm saying. This is why we're going to be so
Yeah.
low in the bull market because you guys are here in the worst time in the bear market. So that tells a lot, and that speaks a lot about you guys, man. And when this is all said and through, guys, and we're on our way back up. Trust me, you're gonna pat yourself in the back.
Love it. That's a great word.
Absolutely.
DeFi proof, man. That's fantastic. That's powerful. Anyone else? Okay, E Money. I'm gonna get him in because I think he requested to speak earlier. E Money, I'm gonna let you come on in really quick here. E Money, can you hear me? Let's try that again. E Money, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can now. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I just had something quick to say, or I just wanted everybody's thoughts on this. I seen that CZ did it at AMA the other day, and he was talking about
Mm-hmm.
putting money behind maybe good projects that were possibly just having a little bit problem with liquidity. I'm not saying we're having a problem with liquidity, but a little bit of money wouldn't be bad, I don't think. So, or even promotion, if we were able to, somehow get in contact with CZ and see what we could possibly do.
Mm-hmm. No, I saw that one too. That's interesting. Yeah, and here's what I think. And this is just my humble opinion. I'm just going to keep it, light and fundamental. It doesn't take a lot of money for the current drip price to move from $2 to something as quickly as $5 to $10. And a lot of that can be managed within the DeFi space. And this is fundamental. In my experience, there's a lot of people, there's degens that have gotten away from traditional finance for a number of reasons, and they trust what's happening in DeFi because they can make a tremendous ROI on their money. And what's happening in recent months and weeks is that there's been a lot of exploits in the DeFi space, but they're not going to exit the DeFi space. So there's money still floating around in DeFi, hundreds of millions of dollars still floating around in DeFi. We just have to do a better job of brand awareness. And that comes in rock star marketing. We need to market to this small niche of people right now and make them aware of the drip ecosystem and the animal farm. And that will help sustain us through the bear market. And then once we get to the bull run, then we can be explosive with reaching out to retail. Because let's be honest, retail is not really interested in investing in high risk assets. because they're dealing with inflation. They're not concerned about if they're concerned about if they're going to have a job. They're hearing all this negative information about cryptocurrency, so they're skeptical to even jump in. So we don't want to throw our dollars at this big, broad pool of people because they're not interested right now. We want to go ham on DeFi and use those dollars to build our ecosystem.
Okay.
Now that's my point of view, E-Money. Yeah. So
You
I would say good money if he's willing to and Forex Shark wants to do that, why wouldn't he? But I think we can be self-sustained by using the revenue that we get from the rehypothecation for the marketing and be specific in who we market to and use the money from Degens and other folks in DeFi to invest in the drip ecosystem and the animal farm.
So basically, it's better just to grow organically.
Organically. Absolutely. Right now. Yes.
Gotcha. One quick question. I don't want to keep this on too long. What do you think about Breep? Like, do you think it kind of stops people from onboarding a lot more people?
The price of it, or
yeah, the price. Sorry about that. I meant to say price.
Yeah, I have no idea what the price is. I haven't bought Breep in quite some time. Is it over $100? Is it less than
It's actually
$100?
cheaper now, but I just thinking like it kind of probably slowed down the growth because it got too expensive for people that were like just getting on and probably wanted to get their friends on.
Yeah, and you really only need two, right? You really only need two, and that's probably going to cost you maybe $200 to $300. I wouldn't recommend that people go and buy 5, 10, 8 Breep right away, because what you're really hoping to get is that initial deposit, right? That first 10%, and then everything underneath that is relatively insignificant. So as long as you've got the first 2 Breep to get your initial referral, that's probably good to start. And then eventually over time, when you're in profit, then I would say repurpose your profits to then buy more Breep.
All right, sounds good.
All right. I'd like to, someone is off. Okay, anyone else? Let me get that down. Did anyone else request?
So sorry about that. Like I think earlier, I don't know, I had some kind of bug and then I left, and when I came back, it didn't allow me to join as a speaker, which is why I've been like listening this whole time. But anyways, Imani, I just wanted to answer your question. The first question you had asked regarding CZ. I think, just like you guys ended the conversation, essentially, I think Forex is not the type of person who's going to ask for money like that. He's going to ask people to invest based on utility and based on the qualifications and the way the project or whatever he's working on is going to work and generate wealth for a lot of people. So if Binance is going to ask people that need some liquidity to offer that liquidity for them for a specific project or whatever it is, Forex is not the type of person who's going to ask for that. That's one thing. Second thing is, I have no doubt that Forex has some kind of connection with CZ, so he probably knows about all this, all of this information, but he's not willing to ask for it. Last thing about this point, I think Forex is already, in one way, a multi-millionaire, so he's definitely able to sustain the project by himself if he wanted to. But the way he's doing it is he's getting the community to spread the word in a way that's going to bring more people organically to build the community and make sure that it sustains itself over time. And he could definitely do a 350,000 trading week and take that money, put it in a price of drip, and hope for the price to pump. But he's not going to do that. And I think over time, we're just going to see that, reflect on the price of the token. And we've seen that in all his other projects in the past. He's never done something similar to that. He's just waited for everything to work organically and give utility to the tokens to make sure that everything else runs smoothly, as a link with each other. The second thing regarding Breep, So BREAP is essentially it's more of a referral token. So I would say, really, like I've seen so many different videos talking about the utility that comes with it. Essentially, all you
Mm-hmm.
need is 3, 4, 5 if you have a humongous team. Okay, so those that are getting 10, either they have the means to, either they're hoping for the price to pump and eventually make some profit. But really, the utility that you're gonna receive with the token is once you get 3 or 4, if you have really the capability to build 100 team members in your faucet. Otherwise, I would stick to maybe 3 or 4 maximum, and it might not entice people to get in. But once somebody's committed to make a team, they have no choice to get it, because they're going to miss out on a lot of potential rewards.
Agreed.
That's it, man. I just want
Agreed.
to thank everybody for coming. Actually, it was one of the greatest lives I've heard so far. So thank you everybody for the
Hey,
participation. That was phenomenal, from start to end.
I agree. And that's a good way to wrap up. All right. So if you guys remember, the reason we do the lives, it's really for you. Our highest priority is to answer your questions and to keep you updated on the latest developments around crypto and within our ecosystem. All right. So if you guys enjoyed the conversation, we'll be back next Wednesday, the same time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you enjoy the speakers, most of them, if not all of them, have a Twitter and or a YouTube channel. So play it back, follow them, and subscribe to their channel. All right. In the meantime, I wish everybody peace and prosperity. Until then, stay hydrated and take care, everyone.
See you guys. Thank you for coming.
Have a good night.